I'm so burnt out.
That might be you if you just clicked on this podcast. And we're here to tell you it doesn't have to be that way. And we can solve that problem for you right now with a little thing called a to-do list. Thank you for listening to the Valor Coffee Podcast, where today we're going to talk about the transition from, maybe you were a barista, maybe now you own a coffee company or you manage a coffee company. The transition is hard. Getting into project management, task management, admin work, blah, blah. This is all about that and how we have navigated that ourselves and how we are now rolling that out to our entire team. Now a word from our sponsors, Ross.
Is it localized?
Yeah.
Localizedgrowth.com/valor. Some are saying it's the best landing page on the internet. And that is because it was created by Localized Growth. They are SEO experts, search engine optimization. If you are a business that wants to be found on the internet, which I hear the internet's really like an up and coming.
It's absolutely popping off.
I don't know if it'll catch on. But turns out investing in how your business ranks on Google is one of the most important things you could do. And it might even be more important than making sure your Instagram looks good. But the skills involved with making sure your business ranks higher, we kind of don't really know about those. So hiring an agency really helps with that. And Localized Growth has helped us a lot. We wouldn't be talking about them if they didn't help us. So go to localizedgrowth.com/valor. You get exclusive discounted pricing specifically for catering operations, coffee catering operations, because they rely on SEO even more, but even your cafe too.
Lastly, did you know that Valor is maybe the GOAT of wholesale coffee partnerships that you could have for your coffee company? No? Well, you're about to find out. Go to valor.coffee/wholesale. Get in touch with us. Ross himself right here will reach out to you and get maybe a Zoom call on the books.
Some world-class service is in your future.
And then you will have access to all of Valor's coffee at wholesale pricing for your cafe, restaurant, office, coffee cart, whatever it may be. Daily fulfillment is something that we offer. So you're going to get coffee fast. We'll talk about that later in the program, how that's a problem it used to be a problem for us before we did daily fulfillment. Now it's not.
Absolutely.
Coffee out the door every day. It's Valor Coffee. Here's the program.
Dude, new podcast idea. Our fitness journeys, going from zero to hero.
It's like,
But
like Grayson does some editing.
Well, yeah, green screens it.
Yeah.
Boys, does the name Kristaps Porzingis mean anything to you?
Let's go, baby. What do they say about the
Does
Hawks?
now, apparently.
Do they have a catchphrase like "Fly Hawks fly"? Go Birds. Nah, it's the
I
Eagles.
don't think so. It's definitely not Rise Up.
Nope.
And this is the Valor Coffee Podcast.
Yes, indeed it is. And welcome to the egg, Kristaps Porzingis.
And welcome back our special guest, Ethan Rivers.
Yeah, welcome back.
Did you miss me?
Yeah,
Yes.
we did. We've
Wow.
been getting a lot done around here. I don't think that's because you haven't been here, but
Right. Just a weird
I guess we'll never know.
byproduct.
Yep,
If you were here, we'd probably be getting even more done.
absolutely.
Thanks, man. Yeah, well, someone's got to, hang out at the house. I'm just on vacation right now.
Right.
I had another kid. Did you guys say it?
Well, yeah, we spoke about paternity leave and
How-
those things.
How we care about men, fathers.
Fathers.
And
Fathers are important.
while I've been on it, I find myself asking, men of old, did you have paternity leave? Huh, no. I'm like, whoa, that's crazy.
What are the benefits of paternity leave?
Well, great question. I think there's actually multiple.
Yeah, that's why I would say like benefits.
Right, yeah.
Because I know a lot of people listening that run coffee shops, they're probably part of the old guard of like, no paternity leave, so I'm you're on a hot mic trying to prove all the haters wrong.
Right. No, that's not my strong suit, but I'll do my best. This is kind of, it's hard to believe, but the woman goes through a lot of, change when they deliver a baby. So
Change.
Yeah.
Sure?
They need to rest.
So the woman after the birth, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, they shouldn't typically, go back to normal operations so quickly.
Okay.
And
Ross.
so that's why I've been Mr. Mom, cleaning, cooking, and hey, shout out meal trains. I've been fed by so many awesome people Thanks, listeners. I know you're out there. If you're listening to this,
We'll
thank
drop
you.
the meal train link down below.
Yeah, meal train links going to the end of the year. So there's no.
Well, the recovery time can be really long.
Well, you never know.
Yeah.
You never know.
And you're recovering too, emotionally.
Thank you.
After
You've been a wreck.
going through the trauma of labor. So we need a meal train all year long.
That's right.
And then let alone our wives are pregnant, so we'll have a triple meal train.
That's
before
right.
This is all said and done.
Yeah.
true.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, if you want to support Valor, just buy some coffee, I guess is what we're saying.
That's kind of
right?
like the meal train in the business perspective.
Even better, subscribe.
That's
wow.
right.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I like buying coffee
No,
more.
subscribe.
I
to
like,
our coffee.
I like subscribe.
Oh, subscribe to buying
Yes.
coffee.
Yes.
That's good.
subscribe in
Subscription.
all ways.
Yes. Anyways, but yeah, it's been nice, especially when you go to multiple kids. I mean, I have 2. I'm sure you went through it. It's nice to look after the older kid
Yeah.
while mama gets to know the little guy,
Yeah.
Do you think you could, and this is throw no shade
That's right.
at anyone who would say yes to this, including yourself.
Thank you.
Do you think that you could will yourself to take like 12 weeks?
So that is interesting. That's a really good question because some
Thank you.
countries, their birth rates are falling. There's like doing more stuff basically to like incentivize having a kid. And so there's like government subsidized, like we're going to give you a year off of work. And you are like, dude,
What does that mean?
Like-
how does that work?
I guess they just either match your salary or pay like a certain rate. And then your company's got to be like, we can't fire you. But so,
Oh
yeah,
my
even
goodness.
just think 12 weeks. And I have a friend who he gets 12 weeks off from his like bigger corporation job and he can take it however he wants. So he took a month off. He's going to wait until his wife goes back to work and then he's going to take another 2 months off to like
Oh my
be
gosh.
with their son. I'm like, dude, that's pretty epic. But it is like, I was trying to understand like how his company works and how you can be away like that. Because I was like, yeah, I'm doing a lot. I'm going to take like up to a month off. But even within the first week, there's just these little moments where both of the kids are napping, the mom's resting. And I'm like, well,
Email
Wonder what's
time.
going on in my email.
I wonder what's going on at work. And I check in and I'm like, oh, this person needs something. I'm going to give them this information. So I'm sure it's like small business or like tight teams, or especially, and we're trying to do something crazy, like grow our company, we're trying to make things happen. So you just like want to be a part of
It's
it.
super fun.
It's super fun. So doing it on your own terms is also fun. Like someone reaches out to me. I'm like, oh, this is not urgent. I'm with my family. I don't have to respond right now.
Yeah.
I'll get to this like when the time's right. So I got some emails, some people reaching out, or like got some tasks I can do. And I'm like, yeah, I'll just do it whenever there's a good moment.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like in the middle of it right now. And I was like, yeah, let's try a morning where I get out and I'll come back, So no, I don't think I could just go 12 weeks. Nothing. I'd have to have like a big project. And I've been doing home projects. I was like cleaning our gutters, do some drywall work, got an extra dehumidifier just for fun.
Couldn't hurt, right?
It couldn't hurt. I got these skylights. Whew.
Yeah.
You just feel the hot air.
Been there, dog.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of projects, right?
Speaking of skylights.
Speaking of skylights, Ross, you had something you want to talk about that was very project related today, huh?
That's right. Well,
Thank you.
lately in our company, we have had a lot of discussion around this topic, which is how burnout relates with how you manage your time, how burnout relates with stress, disorganization. And I've just been thinking about this phrase and have seen how it's played out in my life and different people in Valor and clients and just everyone, that you're not burnt out because you're working so much or you're working too much. You're not burnt out because you're working too much. You're burnt out because you're disorganized and stressed. And that's really the crux of it. And it's not just about burnout. It's also how a lot of us have a lot of good ideas on what to do in business, or on a bar, like behind the bar scale of like, we have ideas how we could improve things. On a big scale, like macro level in our business, we have ideas how we can improve things, new products we could do, new approaches. But if they just remain ideas, then they really have no impact, right? And it feels good to have a good idea, right? It feels like you're kind of moving forward in some way. But to actually have a system for how you execute, well, first of all, to have a system for how you prioritize your ideas and pick your best ones, and then actually execute on those, is a completely different thing than just having good ideas. And I know in the past for me, it's kind of like how I used to say, like, oh, I'm just bad with names. I'm awful with names. More of I remember a face, but I'm terrible with names. And it's like, that's actually just an excuse. Because learning names is a skill that I should learn, right? It's a skill that I should acquire that takes intentionality and work.
Reminds me of the I'm bad with technology argument.
100%. It's like, oh yeah, I'm just the worst with using my computer, or whatever that may be, or like I'm just really disorganized. Like my room's a mess, or like, but I'm a really nice guy. I promise. It's like, well, if you are trying to grow yourself as a professional, if you're trying to build wealth, if you're trying to even just run your own household better, then just saying I'm not good with this, and not good with this with organization, or it's the same thing with I'm bad with names. It's really just an excuse. It's not like you're born with it or not. Sure, being disorganized being organized comes more naturally to some people. Some people are better at remembering names, whatever. Sure, that's fine. But the exception doesn't disprove the rule, which is that we all owe it to each other, especially in an organization where you are relying on lots of people around you to move towards a goal. You owe it to yourself, and you owe it to everyone around you to improve in all of these things. And our journey is that we started this business when we were 19 because we loved coffee shops. Right? I mean, like, we just
couldn't keep me away.
The three of us worked behind bars in our area, and we love serving people. We love making coffee. We wanted to make our own coffee shop. That was the dream. And we started off as a coffee cart, and we just worked behind the bar all the time in the coffee cart. Sure, we ran the Instagram, sure, we did finance, sure, we started roasting coffee in 2018, and we started doing wholesale and direct-to-consumer e-commerce and all these things. And eventually it turned into opening our first cafe in 2019. And even in that time, in 2019, the three of us worked behind the bar a good bit. Ethan and I worked behind the bar more. You did more admin stuff, Riley. And so I'm trying to paint the picture of, like, in the early years, our roles were very, very simple. And they were very, very hands-on, which we talk about the book E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber a lot. It talks about how you start off in a business as the technician, like as the one actually doing the stuff. And that's a good thing, because that means you know the most about the skill that is at hand in your business than anyone. And that's a good thing, because you're going to have to train people. It's good that you're the face of the business, the local coffee shop owner in the community, which you still are in a lot of ways. And Ethan. And so that's good you start off that way. But as you grow, and as we've grown this business, we have felt lots of good pressure to not only just grow our business, because we have three owners, and you can't support three owners that have families off of one coffee shop, right? That's part of the reason we started roasting, part of the reason we opened a second cafe, and why we have a catering operation, just to bring in more top-line revenue. But as you grow in all those areas, you need to, your work changes.
Yeah.
Your work changes from, I'm the one who does the task of making coffee and performs the role. Your role changes to leadership, and like, how do I configure this whole puzzle? How do I set the cogs just right in the machine to turn and to produce our mission and our vision and our values? And so with the growth in our company, like this the other day, I was walking around the warehouse, kind of just like had one of those just grateful to God moments of like, there are so many people around here doing things. I know it sounds so simple, but I remember when we first started, I remember imagining what it would be like to have an employee. And just, you remember this? Like,
Oh, yeah.
because it was just us three for so long. And I just to wrap my head around the concept of I am going to pay someone else to do something that I would otherwise be doing. And they are going to get paid to do it. And hopefully the money that our business brings in is greater than before, than when they wouldn't have, you know what I'm saying? Hopefully their labor cost is covered by a greater revenue because they are doing what they're doing. And I remember thinking about that just like with a barista, you know, like what would it be like just to have another barista around here? That'd be crazy. And like, we are responsible for covering their livelihood and supporting their family. And it's like, that was such a pressure. But then as we've grown, we have Lyndon, who does creative visual marketing for our company, right? You know, she's doing stuff on Instagram. She's taking pictures. She's helping me with wholesale and like making signs, you know, to collaborate, like signs about our collaborations. And she's doing that. You know, we have Joey, who's running the catering operation, which is quickly growing, and we're adding people to that team. You know, we have myself who's doing wholesale and who's growing the business, you know, and there's all these people just working on stuff around here.
In here. In
here.
In the place where it just used to be maybe one or two people roasting coffee, packaging coffee.
Right. That's all that happened. And
me, Ross, and Dale.
Yeah, exactly. And so we would, you know, roast and package 2 days a week or whatever, and then try to get all of our other stuff done. So anyways, the meta point that I'm making is, as we've added these people to these roles that are outside of working on bar, we've been forced to learn and grow in configuring and leading those roles. It doesn't come naturally. It's a skill to learn. And one of the biggest things is like, whenever someone tells me like they're starting to feel burnt out, my first thought is like, okay, I doubt it's because this person is just working 100 hours a week, 80 hours a week.
Mm-hmm.
That does happen. And I think we've been there, but I've never burnt out. Like, you know, it's like, because we were moving towards something. Like, right. I think clarity prevents burnout. If you know what you're going towards and you really want to go towards it, you'll work forever to get to it, right? If it's a strong enough mission. But if you're working for someone else and you're maybe not so clear on what your role is or what the objectives, the KPIs, key performance indicators of your roles are, and you're disorganized, that's a recipe for burnout.
Yeah, I guess I live under the traditional mindset here that 40 hours a week of work is like not that crazy. Like, and we don't let anyone work over that. So I'm just saying, like, getting to that point is like, okay, it's 40 hours a week. It's like people have been doing this for forever. If you have a different opinion on that, that's fine. That's my opinion. Calm down. And so
calm down.
With that, I'm like, okay, if you are extremely burnt out at that capacity, it's likely just because, and you know, I'm speaking specifically here in the coffee industry, where a lot of times it's like the roles are still small business, small time. And I'm saying this out of experience. It's like you're promoting someone from barista to social media manager or something like that. So it's like, you know, you're promoting them, and then likely it's like, what have they done with their career so far? They went to high school and then they're or a barista. So realistically, this person probably has had no experience with like project management and time management. And thus, if they aren't trained in how to do that and then given a system for how to do that, then you're leaving a lot of, first of all, you're just leaving a lot on the table in terms of what their efficiency and output could be. And then second, you see this person running around like a chicken with its head cut off, aimless in what they're doing and stressed, and then you're like, why isn't this getting done? And they're like, oh, I don't know. And then it's just because they aren't writing it down and tracking progress. So I think all of that, like you're saying, leads to this perception of burnout, or actual burnout and actual stress that could all have just been avoided if someone had a system.
Yeah, well, it's like if you're in that situation and you're starting to feel burned out, you need to self-analyze and be like, is it because I'm truly working so many hours, or is it because I'm stressed, because I'm disorganized?
Dude, you know the industry, I'll call it an industry, of that has the most people who are burned out? It's like corporate mega churches.
Really?
I don't know. I'm not saying this statistically. I'm just saying it from the people that come into our cafes who talk about this. And the reason is because it's a bunch of people who don't know how to run a business, who are trying to run a thing like a business. Mm-hmm. And then it's a bunch of people who are also overworked. And so it's like this entire big unorganized thing.
Yeah, well,
I just say that in the sense of like,
yeah,
that's kind of proof of the concept of what we're talking here.
And you can even take an example of, before I was going to go on paternity leave, it was kind of in the middle of when we needed to get the summer menu out. And I'm still the guy that kind of organizes the drinks and puts that together. And so I kind of made it my new deadline like a month before the real deadline. And so I was working on this project well ahead of its like time, and the stress and ease of it was just so much more like, it was easy, And so when you think about the mega church example, or you think about even if you're just working in the cafes or even on the marketing side, social media, it's just when you're behind the ball and it's like, oh, we got to get all this things next week. Oh, it's like, man, maybe just like punt on the next 3 things and just start a month from now.
Yeah.
And you're going to always be ahead. And then like the pacing is just, it's butter after that. Another type of burnout, I was wondering if there's any connection to organization, but I pretty much have seen it with almost every person that's worked behind the bar is around 2 years. They work behind the bar and they have this like movement or like growth block of like, is what I'm doing, like, does it matter? Like, do I have influence? Do I have like purpose here?
Am I still moving towards something?
Am I still moving? And in a similar way, I guess it connects to like this more admin side. When you're just surviving, you never really feel like you're moving because it's like a wave. The next thing is coming and hitting you before you can kind of make it further out to sea. We're on a boat, okay?
Yeah, we on a boat.
Go boat. But what are some ways to get ahead? If we're talking about burnout, if we're talking about being disorganized, where do you start? We're making some changes in-house. Yep. I know that much. I don't know if you want to get into your latest ventures that happened yesterday.
Yeah. Step 1 is clarity. If you don't know what you're moving towards, then you can't prioritize and execute because you don't know what the true north is. And this is to get big picture for a second. You know me.
Don't be afraid.
This is why mission, vision, and values are so freaking important, because you're
directly tied to organizations. Kind of crazy.
Yeah, because if you're going to prioritize and execute, what determines the priority?
Right.
What determines what ranks above something else? It's your mission, vision, and your values. And our vision is to match the top 1% of coffee in the world with the top 1% of hospitality in the world. That's what we're moving towards. And our mission is uplifting people through coffee. That's how we're going to get to the vision. And our values are put empathy into action, grow together, and it's cool to care. And so those are our guiding forces towards by which we decide what we do and don't do.
Mhm.
That's it, right? And of course, there's things like money, like what's going to make this the most financially viable business, that plays into it as well. But that's the first step, is establish clarity, establish where you're going. And then from there, it's putting the right tools in place to facilitate that and move that in the right direction personally, but also on a team. And so, Riley, why don't you talk about our training yesterday and what we've put in place to facilitate this?
Okay. Yeah, I think maybe I'll eventually make like a Loom and throw it up on the community with kind of just like a quick way to build this system in a more simple way. But I think the step one is just get organized within your own company yourself, and then roll it out to the team in whatever capacity, at least just to get people to start tracking to-dos, if nothing else, like with deadlines. So the tree of things is like departments, which maybe your company just has one department and it's cafe for now. Ours has several, where it's like finance, marketing, advertising, roasting,
Cafe 1, Cafe 2,
green buying,
catering,
2 cafes, catering. So it's like there's like a lot of departments. And then within each of those departments, you have projects, and then you have tasks. And then you also have notes that can relate to the departments, and you have notes that can relate to the projects. So with that being said, it's just like build it out however you want. But basically, that is our hierarchy for tracking things. So this entire, we do all this in Notion, which is an awesome program that's extremely daunting to set up. But once you have it set up, it's amazing. So for example, if I go on my Notion and I open our website department, I can see directly right there that I have a project called collection page redesign. And then I click on that, and then it has several tasks within this project. Some of them assigned to me, some of them assigned to Ross. Ross's are all done. Good job.
And Riley can track that.
I can. That's right. Yeah.
And I can track his.
That's right.
And
Yeah.
I can track both of you guys.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's right.
That's right.
And then I can assign all those tasks to different dates. This project has notes within it. And then I can also see it from like a dashboard view where all my tasks are living. So I won't get too complex with all that stuff. I would say there's a really good step one here, and it's stop using your freaking brain for stuff, for remembering stuff.
We've said that a few times now, y'all. Come
we
on.
have.
Seriously.
Stop relying on just you for systems. Write out system procedures and documents, and then every single thing you do, find at the very least a to-do list where you can have recurring to-dos. If you own or operate or manage a coffee shop, there are these specific things that you have to do on the same routine basis. Every 3 months, clean XYZ. Every month, clean refrigerator coils. Every week, count cash deposits and deposit. If all that is living in your brain, whether you know it or not, it is subconsciously dragging you from like here to like down here, because you can't just sit and do focused work, because those things instantly hit your brain. You're like, oh crap, I got to do this. Whereas if you just had them on a thing and it was able to block out that part of your calendar and life every week or month or quarter at the exact same time, there would be there could still be problems, but it's just like that thing isn't going to forget to do it.
Right.
If it just randomly disappears from an established app, is user error, if nothing else.
And if we're staying on this cafe like random to-do thing, I can speak from experience. My days look a lot different when I know exactly what has to get done and what I can get done. Because oftentimes, if I know what I have to get done, I'll attack that like in the beginning of the day versus like just showing up to work and be like, yeah, I guess I'm just like in Alpharetta today. And I like kind of, I guess I'll help behind the bar. And like, I guess I could clean this. And then it's like, little did you know, 7.5 hours go by. And I'm like, well, it's time to start wrapping up. And I go, oh, I was supposed to do this and this and this and this. And then I'm there for 10 hours. I'm like, oh, I just worked 10 hours today. I worked so much. But it's like, dude, you had like 3 hours of stuff you could have been doing, but you were just filling your time. And that's what we get into a lot. And I know this is more cafe specific, but you can just be in a coffee shop and do stuff forever. We used to call it the black hole of like work. It's hard for someone just to show up and like lock in. So if you have like specific tasks, it's great to just like get at them. Because basically, I mean, a cafe, when it's as like epic as it should be, you have all these people you want to hang out with and talk with. And there's people that you would love to work with and talk with.
Yeah.
And it's just like this washing machine of amazing people coming in. And you're like, I could just stand here and talk to, and that's a huge part of my job that I take seriously. Is like, yeah, I like being in the cafe and like loving my community because my current role is like being the head coach of Alpharetta. So I'm going to like do that. I'm going to help my team, but I'm like, I also need to know what I have to get done to make sure that this thing can like run well. But I think when you think about like, oh, I don't need this organization. Like I always have stuff to do and I feel good. It's like, well, you might just be like filling your time.
Yeah. And that might be fine whenever you are working behind the bar. This probably isn't even at that point, but it's just like, if you want to grow your company, make this into a career, that is not fine if you're making $100,000 a year. Because that's
right.
$50 an hour. Like every single hour of your time is $50. If you're just walking around aimlessly sweeping when you could be like building your company to like the next level.
And that totally just gets back to the vision.
Yeah.
What do you want?
Exactly.
Do you want to just hang out in the coffee shop?
That's fine.
I think a lot of people say yes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, great. But that's when stress starts to come in though, when there's tension. If like I'm doing that, but I know that I need to replace me and I'm not making steps to replace me, then you get stressed because you're like, how is someone else going to do this? How is someone else do this? It's like, show them, teach them, loom guys. So I think there's probably a lot of people in that state, and I don't know if we have time, but that's kind of where I was thinking of like, there's probably a lot of people listening that are operating cafes, and it's like, when and how do you start to change? Like, look at me. You can do a case study on me. I'm still like doing stuff very tangibly in the cafes, and yet I'm also getting together with you guys, and we're doing this very like project on the business work. When does that happen?
The case study for that, if we're sitting here being transparent and real, is that like that's about to end because we're noticing that it's not like sustainable for like what we're doing.
Right.
I mean, whereas you're going to enter into a more administrative role. And I think, could be wrong, it's like you probably won't ever again do this like step back in for a season thing.
Yeah, and maybe that's what was kind of hard in retrospect, is that it was before, kind of right before and during Dunwoody opening, I was kind of like retail director.
Yeah.
And that didn't really come with any specific bar shifts. It didn't come with any like specific like, oh yeah, I just go to this cafe and look after it. But it's kind of like, oh. And then maybe like 6 months of that, and I was just in a different role already. So I feel like I have a little bit of like, like probably role confusion, right? I'm like, what am I doing? Like, and what is an owner? What should I be doing?
Yeah.
Like at Valor size, like I think we always crave this when we talk to someone who like knows business or like has been there. I remember feeling a lot of peace. Remember we were talking to Mr. DeFurio on our podcast last year, and we're like, oh, this was nice just to talk to someone who's seen some things. So it's like, what should we be doing?
Mhm.
Like, where should I be? It's like someone comes in like, you shouldn't be doing that. You should be over here, and you should be over here. And it's like, oh yeah.
Mhm.
We're like, you guys have too many leaders. Like, you need to clarify your whole structure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know, what are you holding on to that you need to let go of and step into something else?
Mm.
Another side of this is you need and we need to be surrounding ourselves with reliable partners. And this is not necessarily a plug for our wholesale program, but if it ends up being one, then that's fine. But we have our core values in our business, but for our roastery and wholesale program, we have like an unlisted set of values that I feel like we've really organically adopted over the years. And one of them is dependability. Another one is like predictability or reliability.
Mm-hmm.
Being a reliable, predictable, dependable partner for the people we serve. And I know a lot of the people listening to this are roasters, so I encourage you just in your own business to adopt the same thing. But
Make your own up. Okay.
I hear stories of sometimes the reason why people switch to our coffee is because their current wholesale partner is not reliable. I say sometimes as a gross understatement. Like,
That's kind of crazy. And what you're saying is that those people just aren't organized with how they're running their business.
yes.
And we've been there. Like,
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
we have been that guy.
100%.
We're not anymore.
Right. But it's like the same type stuff that we talk about all the time on this podcast, like how you do one thing is how you do everything, consistency, all that stuff. And I try to say this to the people that work here, and I know that this is very much a culture, is prevalent in the culture of this place we're sitting in right now, which is like this box of coffee that you are packaging right now is the most important thing in the room right now. Like, and then the one after that is also the most important thing in the room.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same principle in the cafes where we talk about seeing the one.
Right.
You may have an entire line of people that you're working through on a busy morning shift, but seeing the one in front of you and treating them as a rock star, as the only person in the room, knowing that the person behind them, you're going to do the same thing for them.
Yep.
The drink that you're making right now, the shot you're pulling, the syrup you're pouring into the jigger to get perfectly at 3/4 ounces, it's going to a human being with dignity, value, and worth. They're going to take that drink and drink it. And you need to put yourself in their shoes as if you were receiving that drink. And that same value of our core value, put empathy into action, that's all just empathy. It's not just being nice or smiling. It's like putting yourself in someone else's shoes and taking action and treating them the way that you'd want to be treated. And so how that applies here is we want to again, we've talked about it before, but like one of the biggest accomplishments in our company ever was moving to daily fulfillment in our warehouse. We started roasting 1 day a week, Mondays, and we roasted at someone else's roastery, right? Like when you're first starting out, you don't have enough orders to roast every day because you have a minimum batch size on your roaster and you can't.
Unless you're famous. Like if you're a famous person.
Like if you're like George Clooney.
Like if Brad Pitt started a roasting company.
Really those two.
He'll be on daily fulfillment.
Brad Pitt, if you want to start a roasting company, hit us up. We will white label for you.
We saw the DeLonghi commercial a couple years ago.
We're in.
We know you're interested.
A couple weeks ago. There's a new one.
Years.
A couple weeks ago. So we started at 1 day a week fulfillment. And so that meant if you are a wholesale partner and you order on Monday at 8 a.m. and you miss the cutoff for roasting that week, which was Monday at 7 a.m., you had to wait until the following Monday for your order to be roasted and then shipped that afternoon and then actually shipped the next morning because the UPS doesn't process it. And then there's like the shipping time, which could be up to 5 days if you're farther away. And then you get the coffee. So that's like a week and a half right there of like from when you ordered to when you received your shipment.
And you feel that coming from a cafe operator.
Yes.
You feel that 10 days.
Yes.
Where you're like, didn't I order that coffee?
Absolutely. But it's a chicken or the egg situation because it's like, well, what are you going to do to solve that problem? You need to get more customers and more orders. Well, how are you going to get more customers and more orders if your turnaround times are crap?
Ross.
Sorry, bad.
Yeah, poopy.
If your turnaround
Poopy
times
stinky.
are
Poopy
are
is somehow
slow,
worse than crap.
I know.
so it's like this slow growth, right? And so, I bring that up because now we're at daily fulfillment. So today's Wednesday. If you ordered right now, it would ship out next business day, Thursday, right? And so that turnaround time, like a lot of times the roasters that are listening to this, like we beat y'all out because of our turnaround times. And you're welcome to beat us out with your turnaround times. That's great.
Good luck.
It's just like that is such a high
Start roasting
value.
on Saturdays and Sundays, I guess.
Yeah. The first person to go 7-day fulfillment wins. But quick turnaround times are so important. I mean, if you think about your customer as a cafe owner, I'm sure many of you that roast own cafes, so you understand. Your main product is coffee. And if you run out of coffee, you can't operate. And so how are you going to build a wholesale presence if your service area is only that big, right? Because you can hand deliver things, you can ship things, it'll be faster. The faster your turnaround time, the larger your service area can be and the more dependable you can be. So all of that doesn't work though if we don't have really good systems for how we do things. And it's tough, man, because like sometimes we have made a lot of improvements to our website in the last year, 2 years. And all of those improvements are geared towards improving our product, improving our customer experience. But it's like there's also bugs when whenever you work on your website, and that has contributed to errors in our system. That's contributed to someone trying to get onto our website to order coffee, and they experience some sort of friction that we don't want them to have. And so it's not all just like linear growth up and to the right? It's like
lake,
like the lake linear.
It's not just linear growth up and to the right. It's even when you're making improvements to your systems, like it can be like this sometimes, right?
Falling forward.
But you're falling
forward, baby.
And if you stay the same, then I'm sure your system's going to break anyways if you're going to experience any kind of growth, because growth puts stress on systems.
And that goes back to the heart of what an owner could and should be doing for their business, right? Solving problems. They're looking for the dips and how they can improve.
Absolutely.
Okay. So to wrap all this up, exercise for everyone at home or in their car or at work.
Push-ups, sit-ups.
So you're going to do 3 sets of thinking about how the last, this is going to be hard. Let's just start with one. Think about the last thing you forgot to do.
Crap.
What was the last thing that you guys forgot to do?
What did I want to do?
I know mine.
Oh, dude.
Last week, I forgot to do voiceover for this reel that we were recording that Lyndon asked me to do.
Oh.
And I forgot to do it for like 3 days in a row. And then I put it on my to-do list and I did it.
Well,
and now it's done.
Similarly, in many ways, I forgot to do voiceover on our upcoming Columbia vlog, and then that Grayson asked me to do.
For those of you listening at home, it doesn't have to be related to voiceover. Just to be clear,
it's not confined to that topic alone. And then I put it on my project list in Notion with a due date, and then I did it.
Okay, so I'm a little bit. I just get to do free work. But something I said I wanted to do was create like something in Notion, I guess. You have to show me.
He wasn't at the training.
I'm just not good with technology. Well,
I'm gonna kill you.
I'm
Kill you.
But I wanted to have like this blend of starting points. I do the hiring. So like good starting points of what to send to people. So like that might be changing with some changes that you've made, but some good starting point responses for
templates.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I have to go to.
But you forgot to do it?
Yeah, what are you talking about?
We're talking
What'd you
about
forget?
stuff we forgot to do.
I haven't done it. I wanted to do it and I haven't done it.
But so you forgot?
Yeah. Well, I guess.
So you need to create a project in Notion for that task.
Yeah.
Is what you're saying.
And give yourself a due date on when you'd like to work on it.
Yeah, because I feel like maybe it's not exactly forgot, but when you think of like a thing that would be good, kind of back to the beginning of it, like a good idea. Oh, that would be good. But I'm not taking a step.
Sure.
Yep.
I'm a coward.
All
okay.
Right. Listeners at home, think about a thing that sneaks up on you, a thing you forget, whatever. Go and download even use reminders on your iPhone, but it's not that robust. Go and download an app like TickTick or Todoist, or if you want to get crazy, Notion, but it's going to involve some setup, so maybe don't start there. And then put that task in the to-do list if it's recurring. A lot of these you can plainly type out what you want to do. So you could say, take out trash, but put out garbage cans every Monday at 8 a.m. And then you just press enter and then it's in there forever. And it will remind you every Monday at 8 a.m. Just like that. Start there and then you get good at it. And then take that knowledge you've learned in the process and give it to your team. That's all.
Can I make one final point?
Classic Ross.
All right. Go ahead.
I know you got to get back to paternity leave.
Whatever I'm doing. Playing with trucks and dinosaurs.
It's important work. This industry there's not a lot of money flying around, right? And
speak for yourself.
Which we just released a podcast talking about how we built our $1 million coffee shops. It's million top line revenue, right? Million top line revenue.
Don't worry about the bottom line. Don't worry about it.
The bottom line will figure itself out.
It doesn't matter.
It all comes out in the wash.
It won't figure itself out. So my point is like in a low profit business, you need to be searching for efficiencies to gain. And this is what we're talking about. You can't afford to be disorganized because it's like when you forget something, you should just view that as like literally money out of your pocket because you are paying yourself to do the work that you're doing. And if you're doing the wrong work, if you're missing out on the real work that you should be doing, then it's almost like you're paying is the word defunct employee? Ooh. Or like you're paying an employee that's misbehaving,
maybe doing fireable offenses.
Sure,
but
right.
You're the employee.
Exactly.
That's a good thought exercise. Would I fire myself?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Like, what would I tell myself? Well, in a health check, and so just that's very relevant in every business, even in very high profit businesses, because you're paying yourself even more. And so it's like your mistakes are even more costly.
Right.
And that's another point. It's like, as we have built our business and paid ourselves more, we had a conversation a few weeks ago of like, what is our hourly rate now?
Right.
And we were like, it was a good thought exercise of like, okay, if I was paying someone that hourly rate, what would I expect them to do?
And you can go a couple ways with that. And I know it's tempting. You could be like, oh, I'm above that. Like, no way. But it's more like, how am I stewarding this?
Oh, yeah.
And like, how am I like above reproach and supporting my team with my value?
Yeah. Because every hour is objectively, numerically more valuable.
Yeah.
Because you're paying yourself more.
Yeah. And that makes, if you look at it just that way, like, it always sounds rude when people are like, this isn't worth my time. But it's like, there's a lot of truth to that statement. in a lot of instances.
Yeah. And what
Unfortunate
is
reality.
worth your time is what we're talking about is if you're an owner that's a problem solver, you're making work better for your team. You're better supporting, empowering, and leading your team.
Mhm.
And if you find that you're running the grocery store 4 times a day because you're the only person not behind the bar, that may feel like you're supporting your team in the moment, but that's just like a huge lack of systems and leadership and delegation,
Mhm.
you know, where you could be doing so much more. You're leaving so much on the table.
And imagine you were paying someone your hourly rate to perpetually be going to Publix.
Right. And don't get me wrong, I'm king of low work. I love just a nice, I'm going to go crush some dishes. And there is time and place to just like get down low and support your team. But
It's necessary.
yeah, there's necessary, but it's also necessary to build out Notion so that you can help all of these like newly administrative people like thrive at their job. Because we always get back to it. But if someone's not thriving well at their job, it's most likely your fault. Like it's our fault if we can't take care of these people trying to like do new things for Valor.
Yeah. It's good. It's good.
Good topic. Good convo.
All right. That's all. See you guys next week.
Go Hawks.